Amir, are you there? Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Awesome.
Can everyone hear me?
S-
Um,
I can hear you. I
awesome.
think everybody's cool. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming to this, and thank you everybody who's here. I will try to record it. There is a chance that only my voice will be audible, and that would be a nice rug. But we're gonna do a little very unofficial Q&A with Amir, the founder of Karitha, and I'm excited about that because obviously Karitha is sort of the most interesting project I think at the moment on the Elrond chain. The basic plan is we're going to go through some questions, learn a little bit about you, Amir, and then yeah, play some chess, have some banter, and also maybe some giveaways with some weird stuff. Um, I I do have to say that obviously I do own a couple of these NFTs, so might be a little biased at times, but I hope that's all right. So yeah, thank you for joining, Amir. If you're there,
My pleasure.
awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. Just re-invite me and I'll be able to join again.
Yep. I'll do that in a minute. Also, we should say that it's 11 p.m. for Amir. So if there if this doesn't go exactly as planned, keep that in mind. Cool. I mean, first thing I would love to talk about is sort of maybe your people are probably curious about your personal background, how you got, what you did, how you got into the crypto world, what got you started. If you just want to maybe talk about that a little bit to start.
Yep. Can you, just to confirm, everyone can hear me well? I'd assume so. And yeah, to answer the first question that's in the chat, yeah, he's considered a national master. You can ask him in his own Q&A. But he could apply for a title if he continued playing. Um, but yeah, so would you be able to repeat your question?
I'm just basically curious about like your personal background a little bit. I mean, obviously you're from Australia. That's something we all know. Um, like, what got you started? How did you get into the crypto space? Like, how did you find Elrond? Um, yeah.
Yeah, so my journey actually started in 2017. Ironically, one of my investments at the start was XRP. So like a few people back then, we thought banks were going to be around. I think especially in Australia, three business days to send payments. We only recently introduced a what they call OSCO, which is just a 1 day or instant payment system.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe there was like, if I looked into it properly back then, I believe it was also, I think, like part of Ripple Labs, or like one of the blockchain based. It was like kind of supportive Combank and like Commonwealth Bank of Australia and stuff. So I thought, oh, this would be pretty good investment. Obviously, I could have chose anything else, maybe even Bitcoin or Ethereum back then. But started my journey there. Did a bit of like influencing under a XRP Twitter handle. Did pretty well, I guess. And I think crypto itself was a lot more than what I expected it to be. I think what really made me love crypto, or really blockchain, is that it's supposed to be innovative. I think we're too focused at the moment with the community focusing on, monetary gains or making millions and whatever. And I think it's
Yeah.
a lot cooler if you actually realize the potential of blockchain and how it adds a lot more power to really everything, not just money. Like, I think what's ironic is we kind of did the hardest thing first, which is decentralize money, instead of like improving tech, which is great and all, decentralizing money. But now we're going backwards in terms of it. And I think it's going to be very interesting in the next couple of years of how we can actually incorporate like blockchain into our lives a lot better, like besides logistics and yeah, logistics and pretty much anything else that could be used blockchain wise. And in terms of Elrond, I was looking back in 2020, back when it was on ERD, and before the mainnet launch, I was looking into different types of cryptocurrencies. And one thing that I liked about Elrond at the start was more so their approach to the perception of crypto. They focused on freedom. I think their campaign, the first thing they did was like dare to believe or dare to something.
Yeah, I remember that video. Yeah.
Yeah. So I invested back when it was ERD, but obviously COVID hit and all of that, and then I had to sell some of my holdings and stuff. But I think what I really enjoy about Elrond is that it's supposed to be revolutionary, and obviously considering all the other blockchains at the moment, layer ones are the most important aspect. Obviously, we have layer two talks and like roll ups, or ZK roll ups and stuff with Ethereum. And I think at the moment now, it's really more so will we enter a stage of, like having one major blockchain, or will we have more? And I'm a massive believer of cross chain. To think one chain will have billions of users, I think is kind of not realistic if you consider the amount of currencies in the world. Like, I mean, it's not like we just use one. Sure, people consider the US as a reserve, but you still use different currencies. It's more about, I guess, the transaction. I mean, like the conversion between like currencies, which is more important.
Yeah. And some technologies also lend itself to certain projects in a natural way.
Sorry?
Right? I mean, like, there's obviously different use cases for different blockchains, and there's a lot of cross-fertilization possible, but there's also just use cases that, where one blockchain will outperform the others just because it's built for a certain purpose. Perhaps.
Obviously the most important part is understanding, layer ones and layer twos or tokens and currencies. Like, for example, there's a massive difference between, like Ethereum and, let's say, the one that comes to mind is Aave, right? Aave is built on a layer one, and layer one is Ethereum. Now, a lot of people's perspective of layer ones is about, like, it runs an entire ecosystem and whatever, but really it's supposed to be the foundational block of everything. And I think what Ethereum did really well is that they built that foundation. They have the Ethereum foundation that's like decentralized and kind of like, it's not, it just builds and the community builds. And that's probably the most important part, is that you have to consider the aspect of being able to incorporate more people to build, not just like have a chain that no one uses, basically.
Yeah. And when you found Elrond, I assume you were not planning on building an NFT project on it, or was that always something that you sort of were interested in?
No, working in corporate or B2B. So I ran my own agency and stuff. So my clients are always businesses, and I've always just been in crypto investments and whatever. But I've never really found, just normal business work actually like kind of like enjoyable, because at the end of the day, most businesses, they're just trying to turn profit, not really trying to change anything.
Yeah.
And I realized like, okay, well, I love crypto. I should consider like something in blockchain.
Okay. By the way, if there's pauses, we are playing chess. If you're only listening to the voice, that might be the pause here. But yeah, I mean that's an interesting aspect, right, of being able to actually build meaningful tools with meaningful technology, and not only going for profits, so to speak. So did you consider building on other chains, or like immediately drawn to? I mean, I know that
Why I
there's
decided to build on Elrond is because back during November and stuff, I realized everyone wanted to just build a Bored Ape or BAYC thing, right?
Yeah.
Like they wanted to be the next big profit, like yeah, like they marketed themselves as the next BAYC thing, and I just thought it was kind of weird, I guess. Like I thought it wasn't like what it's supposed to be. And one thing that I've always was passionate about was like a lot of people who do indie games and indie development, they've never really they didn't really understand how crypto was supposed to change things. And
Yeah.
like they obviously it's all about money and whatever, but like to them anyways, right? Like if you ask people who love NFTs, they'll be like, oh no, it's all about flipping, which is why a lot of pixel artists, a lot of game developers are kind of against NFTs, is because of that entire ecosystem of like making money, and like people rip off artwork or use like Blender samples and stuff to build their projects.
like those bunnies.
Sorry, which bunnies?
I don't know. Wasn't there some bunny project on Elrond recently that was just completely bought? I don't know.
Yeah, they bought the template and basically just does it up instead of actually making something.
Okay, well, yeah, I wasn't aware of that, but yeah. But essentially, the main reason is because back then, every project was essentially just releasing collections after collections and making promises that were unrealistic. Like, you know, let's say building an entire metaverse within a year that's not utilizing any core engine or like anything that really had a foundation. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes people will continue to believe, is that it's very easy to make a NFT integrated game. Because ideally you want something to have a foundation already. Like for us, like the reason why I really like Godot is because a lot of the games and developers I bring on board is that they already actually have people like developing games offline, and you can actually kind of bring them over in a sense. Like, so like it's some of the code can be used in like what you in what you're building. So for example, if you build a very integrate AI like system, you can actually reuse that, or not really reuse it, but you can use that in the game. So the more indie developers who already have projects and stuff, we can still incorporate that into the project. And I believe with the developers I have on board from Erdsea, like we are able to really develop something a lot faster than the majority of people in the 2D space.
Yeah. Talk about how that came about, that collaboration, the Earthsea.
I was just always in good connections with, well, not really good connections, but rather I always valued Erdsea because I wouldn't consider myself as any type of maxi on any chain, as I'm more of an investor and trader, what I used to be. And I realized the importance of having a project that no one's heard about, but the development wise is incredible. I think that's something that was completely underrated. I think people really need, like, it really showed the power of what community developers are able to do, and I still value that over anything. Like community developers building without any like direct help, because back from when I first heard about Elrond, there was really nothing community wise. All the projects kind of seemed like, well, to me they kind of seem like a meme compared to other blockchains. So like for example, we compare projects on Solana that are new to projects done on Elrond. You know, it's like, where did all this where did it all come from? You know, like this is like an incredible project getting built, and on Elrond we don't have as many. And I'm like, okay, well, I want to change this, and I was able to speak to the developers of Erdsea, and well, specifically Godfather, and try to, and like just mention, look, you know, I want to work with you. I believe we can still like I'm able to use my strengths, and you guys can do what you're best at, developing. And I think so far it really shows the power of, people using the strengths wisely.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some really, I mean, you guys did an incredible amount of work in such a little time, right? I mean, very impressive what's coming out of Karitha already in such a short period of time. I was wondering about that move. I don't know. I think you have a good position here. Yeah. So one thing that I also am super curious about, obviously, the Club Nano thing is a big aspect also of what you do. Do you want to sort of introduce that project? Maybe people haven't heard as much about it since we're on Elrond.
Yeah, so Club Nano is just a way for us to utilize Godot's modularity of being able to create a code and utilize that code for the base alpha that we're trying to create on Elrond, as Elrond's project is a lot more complex as a MMO that's decentralized. So I wanted to make it a lot more, I guess the word that I'm looking for is efficient. I didn't want to just build the game by itself without bringing adoption, because right now it just seems like NFT projects compete with each other.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, at this point, am I allowed to forfeit this match?
This position was really good for you, I thought. I mean, you had some strong threats.
Anyways, I'll play through.
You can. Oh wow, you saw that coming. Remind me what Club Nano is actually built on. Is that ETH or is it Solana? Now you're allowed to resign.
Okay. Yeah, so the idea is to use Ethereum, but the reason why it's kind of really imperative to the success of the project is that Elrond doesn't really have adoption, and at the moment it's just projects competing with each other, and at the moment it just seems like it's let's compete with each other, not build with each other.
Yeah.
At the moment, I'm looking for partnerships outside of the ecosystem, trying to bring people within the ecosystem. Ideally, things that fall within the same, I guess you can say, demographic, because of let's say Binance Smart Chain. Why'd you do that? So for example, Binance Smart Chain, people use that because it's cheaper, and yeah, people use that as cheaper, and I think using let's say man, I'm getting more confused than anything, but but yeah, sorry, yeah, I'm more confused about the game, not the conversation. I'm focused on so I'm focused on collaborations that allow people to move into Elrond easier, and I believe with the web lab and the mobile app, it's a lot easier to collaborate with projects on other spaces. And I think at the moment, there's just so much competition within the space where it just doesn't make sense, because it's they're focused on making their own project successful, but not Elrond.
Yeah.
So we decided, the best course of action is why don't we just create a project where it actually takes care of the problem that we face as a blockchain, which is adoption. And for us to do that, that means we actually have to bring it over. And the easiest way to do that is to partner with a project either on Solana, Binance Smart Chain, or we do what we're planning to do with Ethereum, is that we wanted to build something on Ethereum that's kind of I don't want to say easy, but rather it just allows people to, like, more of an audience to be a part of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how do you see like the collaboration in terms of bringing sort of the communities together as well?
I think the only problem that I see personally is that I think there's a lot of internal competition. Like, for example, if someone comes from Ethereum, it's like the Elrond community wants to tell them how shit Ethereum is.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just focusing on collaborating, we're more focused on killing. Like, not like killing per se, but it's like shutting an entire network down. And I think it's the wrong, well, that was the wrong play for me to make, but whatever. Well,
Thought you might have had an interesting sacrifice here.
yeah, I thought I did too, but then I lost track. But anyways, what I was trying to say was, sorry, what was the question?
Basically, bringing together communities, and you were mentioning how like we're at war with each other rather than trying to bring people.
Yeah, so like I feel like every time someone comes from a different chain, we're more focused on trying to highlight how awesome. Oh, right, you, right. Oh, whatever. We're more focused on just saying how shit other chains are instead of just being like, hey, let's just work together. You know, like, and that's what I'm trying to do with Karitha, is just like, let's just build a universe where every chain is actually like, there's no competition. Like, the competition, ironically, so from what I've heard, was actually from so the Ethereum killer actually puts more emphasis on Ethereum as this tier above everything else. And people who are on other layer ones think that it's the opposite, right? Like, oh, we're killing Ethereum, but like, we're putting Ethereum on a pedestal with that statement. And I think that's not the way that we should be going towards. We should actually be trying to just work towards a multi-chain future where everyone's able to cooperate. But we're so fixated on, this top chain, and I think it's just because we're thinking about the monetary value of it. Like, oh my god, can you imagine if we had this market cap or whatever? Yeah. It's just like, at the end of the day, like, to me, it doesn't really. I guess, like, maybe I'm biased because, maybe I'm not in like a bad financial position or something, but like, I just think the future is a lot better off when everything's working together, not just competing with each other.
Yeah, totally agree. Well, let's talk a little bit about Karitha, right? We've covered some background. Look at this key tactic.
Nice, right?
Tell me, I don't know, how did the idea come about? Like, how did you find the team? Give us a little bit of background on that, maybe, if you can.
One thing that I found interesting is just that from a lot of the projects I saw on Elrond is that it feels like there was no entrepreneurs who ran them, rather artists who ran them. Mm-hmm. Because as someone with like startup experience and working with people, it's just, I brought a team together. And I brought a team together that just worked together, like that, to just that had all the pieces already in play. So like, in this case, it was just allowing the right moments. Did I just give you my? No, it's okay. And just connecting it, right? Like, at the end of the day, the most successful entrepreneurs aren't necessarily the ones with like these, like I don't know. Do you know a guy called Naval?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, well, him and many angel investors, right? Their perspective is that there's three people that make a core team in a startup, and that's like your designer, your seller, and your builder, right? Mm-hmm. And in this case, it feels like everyone on Elrond at the moment are builders. Sorry, not all designers, really, right? Like, the design NFTs, but at the same time, some docs teams, I don't really know who build them, like, as in like the artwork and stuff like that. I might know like the people, like the face of the company, but I don't necessarily know the artists. Mm-hmm. But I've brought a startup together. So essentially, you know, you have the designers, you have the builders, you have everyone, you know, public talking, whatever, right? Not just like let's say just me chatting, right? You can talk to the designers, you can talk to the the developers, whatever, right? And that's just how it came to be. It's just I connected with all the people and all the pieces, and not just based around my skill, because my skill is more like I'd say it fits more of an entrepreneur rather than just like an artist selling NFTs, right? So I built an entire like business model, you could say.
Yeah.
And in this case, it was just it ended up being like it just seems like it's just so intricate, because I think we're comparing Karitha to projects on Elrond who try to be like Bored Ape Yacht, the apes, right?
Yeah.
But rather, I'm trying to build something that's kind of like, I want to change the multi-chain and metaverse before like Web 2 like people come in and think that their experience from this, like, you know, these ancient corporations and like the way for the future, right? I've had enough experience talking to people and entrepreneurs, like, you know, who are multimillionaires and whatever, and, you know, their experiences don't compare to like people, I don't know, with I was going to say a rap sheet, but like, you know, from these corporations, like, because at the end of the day, all they did was act, and that's what differentiates a good entrepreneur and a bad entrepreneur, right? It's like being able to understand the power of like being able to be agile, you know, trying to be adaptive. Like, you can't just be slow. And talking about the game at the moment, I actually have no idea how to recover my position at this point.
Yeah, it's tricky.
But yeah, I don't know if I answered the question.
Yeah.
But yeah,
maybe like interesting to me, because as you said, there's like a lot of, it seems intricate maybe, but there's a lot of moving pieces and a lot of team members and a lot of sort of different talents that came together. Who was like your first hire, or were you even like, what's the genesis of your Genesis?
Yeah, it started with me, the artist, Potato Man, and the sound engineer. It's funny because it's an internal meme. None of us can actually pronounce his name, but like the sound engineer, right? So like, we just all connected. We knew each other in real life, or briefly, and we found out I spoke to the sound guy initially. I'm like, I want to create something that's good, and like art wise, game wise, and that's what really changed the pace, is because I found out about Godot, found out that he was already developing a game.
Mm-hmm.
All I needed was an entire system and like and a project built around that, right?
Yeah.
And that's what essentially happened. So it went from a couple of us to an entire team.
How many are you now?
Sorry?
How many are you now? And I mean, you keep
at the moment, one that's actually, let me just check the roles on the server. That's probably easiest.
I know you keep hiring. We've talked about this before, and I also want to sort of highlight that, because it's I think what you described beforehand, like about what projects they're trying to do, and the reason they're competing is I think because, as you pointed out, they're sort of competing for money rather than innovation or building something, right? So a lot of the projects that do get tons of money from the mints sometimes, you know, tend to not invest that in team and development, but sort of, you know, rub their hands and think they're done and accomplished. While I think you've been going a completely different way.
Yeah, I think the easiest example to use was Kingsguard, right? Like, they stopped building and then they kind of let their project fail.
Yeah.
And like, to me, it shows that a lot of projects were going to be like exactly like that, because they didn't have like an idea of what they wanted to do. They just wanted a successful business or like successful mint and build from there. Like if you ask a lot of the projects, right, what was your idea or why did it change so much or like why did it shift so much? It's because they just had funding and didn't really have an idea of what they wanted to do. And like my vision for this project has been very, very clear from the start.
Yeah. Talk about your vision.
Is to essentially create a decentralized RPG game. All right, like sure, like I'm not going to say the MMO part because like that will come in its own time, right? But the idea is just for it to be decentralized, and I want the role playing aspect to be the core factor because I believe like what really makes a good game is not necessarily just like the grinding factor, but rather the social interactions because that's what Web3 is supposed to be about.
Yeah,
you know, it's like connecting with everyone, and
I started getting addicted to that RPG game in your server again.
yeah, so it's just about like creating an RPG that's decentralized.
Yeah.
And I realized a lot of games that I used to play, a lot of the core features is that they use a lot of these engines and just changed it completely where it just didn't feel like, you know, it's oh, you're doing something cheeky, I think. Oh, I know, you just want that.
Are you watching my stream? I don't even know. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have pointed out that move.
Oh, no, I'm just trying to figure out. Okay, so what I was gonna say. Wait, I'm trying to think both at the same time. Sorry, what was the question?
RPG, we were talking about the social aspect.
So, like, for example, World of Warcraft had a lot of, like, they actually had custom RPG games. A lot of actual games had, like, they used the core engine and then just created RPG elements. And I'm like, well, why hasn't anyone created an RPG game where the core elements are the game, right? And I realized it's because there's not much incentives for anyone to play just an RPG game without any, like, you know, grinding or whatever. And I realized Web3 solves that. You know, you have your play to earn mechanics and then your RPG mechanics, and then you can just add all these mechanics together and you can actually create this, like, incredible game because of Web3.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to do, right? Like, I'm trying to build the foundation with Web3.
For sure.
But yeah.
So do you want to talk a little bit about maybe, obviously, you have also a very sophisticated lore, and there's that aspect of it. I think that's sort of lacking in a lot of other projects. You know, they have like half a sentence and call it a lore. That's also something that you sort of must have thought about from the get-go too.
So I've been like a dungeon master or D&D thing, right? I wrote my own campaigns and story settings and stuff, and I used my knowledge of world settings and understanding like how things can interplay. As long as you create an open setting, you can kind of allow more variables at play, and that's essentially what I've done. I've allowed the settings and variables to be open-ended and allow the users to decide how things are done.
Nice. What other games did you were mentioning World of Warcraft and stuff like that? What other
Second Life? You know how people had an entire business model around Second Life. There's Habbo Hotel. They had like RPG elements with that, and it was just a game of socializing, and people created games with just like out of their own imagination. And I think things like that are pretty fascinating, where you know you give people the tools and they take it and do things their own way, just like Lego, right? Like every Lego can kind of be used, right? So it's that type of aspect that I'm trying to create. And I know I have like a winning line here, but I just don't see it yet. I can't focus on it.
Don't push it. Just play your position. My king is fucked. Everything's fucked.
I know. I'm just thinking. I know that there's whatever. Okay, now let me figure out what's the best move. But yeah, so what was the next question?
I mean, basically, I was curious since you were mentioning DoD and WoW or whatever you call it. What other games you were playing sort of as a kid or as a young adult? If there were anything else that sort of inspired what Karitha has become.
Yeah, a lot of new games, right? Like, so there's Black Desert Online. There's like New World. Wait, what did you take? Oh, Bishop. Yeah, New World is a good game. There's just a bunch of new games where you have house building and a bunch of different things, and I realized like it'd be so much awesome, like cooler if you owned the things, right? Like, why isn't that a thing?
No. This is a weird position. To think here. So do you want to talk a little bit about sort of the next steps for the project? We have the business certificates. We sort of have the factions. We have a bunch of slimes hanging out.
That we've been discussing is so there's going to be actually a lot of Discord RPG elements being incorporated through governance, and artifacts are going to actually have utility now, as well as like the type of NFTs you own. For example, if they're Valguard specific, or if they're like, they all have their own theme, right? So, for example, let's say Valguard Genesis and Valguard certificates, they're a part of Valguard, right? The capital city. Factions and artifacts have their own utility, and everything moving forward will have its own type of utility.
Do you want to talk about the artifact utility?
A lot of the artifacts. So the basic utility will be about voting and governance. And moving forward, it will just be additional utility within the game. It's just like, so at the end of the day, the idea was to make it collectibles, but collectibles should also hold weight in one way or another. And in this case, we want to create a way where we can incorporate leaderboards. And so we're in the middle of designing a new website, and the website will incorporate a faction leaderboard. But the leaderboards, before we do that, will incorporate like faction missions and things like that within Discord. And the utility provided by different artifacts, as well as like the existing artifacts, will determine like your voting power, the faction cards you own, and like there's going to be plus and minuses. Like, for example, if you hold multiple, and like, for example, it's like you have to decide which one you want your card to contribute to points and or voting.
That's a good move. No, wait, is it? Don't I have this?
I think you do. You can just take the bishop, right?
Yeah, do I get in trouble though? I don't think so.
You lose my heart, bro. You lose my respect.
I mean, it's still weird because you have so many things pointed at my king here. It's not super comfortable.
Yeah, well, I could just like blunder and let you take my queen, right?
That would be an issue, yeah.
But yeah, so a lot of things are gonna have utility, right? I realized, to me, it feels like we're not moving as fast, but I realized like behind the scenes, like we're already building the offline game of of walking inside the tavern. Like, for example, actually, while we're so the people already in here, I can show an example.
Oh, switch
just keep giving me 15 seconds, right? Just
yeah,
keep
sure.
giving me. But 1 second.
I want to see.
Okay, let me share. Do I have anything else that I don't want anyone else to see.
Let me stop my stream for a second, and then people can switch gears.
Right, like, so this is not inside gameplay, right? Like, this is just an example, right? But so now the next steps we're doing is we're adding the moving sprites and adding everything here that you see as both a tile set plus a placeable item, and we're close to having a prototype for an offline version, maybe by even the end of this quarter. Because so we also have other things, right? Like, for example, let me see if I can. Let me see what else I could show.
I mean, one thing that I gotta also say about the project, one, it's so cool to basically be able to be a part of the whole development, right? I mean, I know you guys have a plan and all that rolled out, but it's so cool to, see
and like, so this
come in and new aspects.
This is another example, right? So this is just another prototype, right? And like, obviously, like, this is like a base prototype. The idea is to move towards this level of detail, but at the same time, like, we're also building, the auto, like, this is within Godot, like the auto tiling, like, features like this we're just doing on the side on top of building the minigame of like of this, like, the space shooter, right? Let's see if there's anything else I can show you guys.
Show us the game.
Oh, yeah, this is this was a prototype of the characters. Like, I mean, this is like the first iterations, right? Like, as in, like, we're just trying to have usable characters for the game. Just, I mean, the offline version, right? So, like, for example, so it allows us to, the tile sets and stuff like that, and understanding how they interact with the game and stuff like that, allows us to have more of a insight.
Is that going to be separate mint, the heroes too?
Well, the characters are, but for now, these are more offline version.
Gotcha.
Right? Like this isn't the final character. We just needed a character sprite, right? And we wanted the character sprite to be at least similar in terms of the dimensions, which is going to be like, I think it's like roughly 1634 or 3264. I think 1634. But yeah, just to give us an idea.
69, but yeah.
Well, I can make changes if you want. No, but the idea is
please.
The box itself, right? Because we're talking about a box, right? If you consider the pixels as the box, you're going to have items and weapons that extend above 64 pixels, right?
I've seen suggestions for items. But yeah.
Right. So, but yeah, the idea is to just build like a thing. But
yeah, super cool. Thanks for sharing.
You can, but yeah, like, it's more about right now. Like, there's just a lot of things happening behind the scenes, right? It's just like we could keep making a lot of announcements and stuff like that, but at the moment, we know what we're doing, and we're improving our tokenomics where that allows more diversification towards potential listings on like exchanges or like other stuff, right? We want to be able to have that opportunity, as well as also provide other realm utility and staking with our existing collections. What do I want to move?
I do remember that seeing somewhere that you were saying potentially whatever.
I just gave you my
whatever.
Man, I just gave you my rook. All right, I gave you my rook. Let's forfeit.
Whatever the next mint is, might be the last one that is not minted with realm. Yeah.
So what we realized is we're going to remove e-gold as a mint. Not because we don't want e-gold, right? Like, but rather, we don't want to compete with other people in the ecosystem and like make it seem like, there's like, there shouldn't be internal competition. And I think the only way for us to do this successfully and bring adoption is if we allow staking, utility, and things like that. Our pre-sale, private sale, whatever. But yeah, it just allows us to
Good game.
add more like collections through the realm utility as each realm gets purchased, goes into treasury, and that boosts rewards. At the same time, we have like penalties like to make sure like there's some burning aspects, just so like it's not an inflationary token. Things like that. That's really important. I love it when like you grandmasters just troll and it's just like you still win easily.
I mean, I've gotten in trouble a couple times. Won't lie.
But yeah, so it's just the faction cards will be the last mint of ours that's in EGOD, and everything else will be in Realm, because we're going to add different types of utility. Our new website's going to be looking really cool. Everything is just the pieces are falling like into. Oh man, I forgot that quote. But yeah, and it's oh my god, it's almost 12 a.m.
I know.
But
I'll let you go in a second.
It's all good. If people still want to talk or ask questions, I think there was a question in questions.
Yeah, I did see that it's sort of long, and I'm not sure I understand that well. But yeah, I'll get to it in a second. And if anybody else has some pressing questions they want to ask Amir, put your questions in that question channel above the voice channel.
But yeah, I don't know if I answered your last question.
I forgot what it was, so I'm assuming you did.
Great. I mean, you have no excuses, man. So I mean, you can check, or if someone else that's a moderator here that can check the questions.
Yeah. So the question basically is to Discord user RatRacy is asking if you could elaborate or talk a little bit more about sort of the cross-chain aspects of the project, whether you're also planning on, if I understand this correctly, putting Karitha on having Karitha on other chains other than
we want Karitha to be on a foundation or like on LA1 and just allow the interchain on other aspects. So so we'll leave we have a core, right? And that is Elrond. And while we build everything else, it's still connected to the main project. We're just building Karitha as a bigger brand first, which is why we're launching a bunch of initiatives like the Karitha Foundation, which is going to be development assistance and like resources and a bunch of friendly ways for people to build on Elrond.
Oh yeah, I saw that too. You're basically also planning on sharing the GitHub and the dev tools for others to use. Did I see that somewhere? Is that right?
Yeah. So some of the smart contracts will be open sourced, as well as we're trying to encourage more building on Elrond.
Yeah. Is that something that I had a question about that earlier too? Where what are sort of like the you highlighted some of the things that excite you about Elrond. What are some of the challenges that you think the network faces, or that some not so exciting things about the network?
I think at the moment how there's the majority of what you would call quality projects are based on two staking providers. Like they're built by two staking providers, and even though the majority of projects are built on there's no resources for there's not many community resources, right? And I think that's kind of discouraging to new developers, right? It's there should still be a lot of resources for the community, especially when the majority of projects are being developed by providers, right? There should be a lot more resources available.
Yeah. Can you explain a little? This is Discord user Mint. Can you explain a little bit more about the mini game that is connected to Elgart?
So the minigame itself is actually part of the Nano. But the slime platform we're planning to build will be just external. So a lot of the mini games we're building will be social mini games, and that will obviously be like playable in like in the realm, right? Like for example, actually, good. I'm not sharing my screen. Oh, actually, I have to re-download Steam and stuff. That's one problem when you reformat a computer. I was also going to show you one of the mini games, but I guess I can't now because
maybe you can post it later tomorrow when you wake up.
But yeah. So basically, what we're trying to do is build mini games where you don't really need what's the word?
A brain.
So I think I lost one of my hard drives. I mean, what? Like, I'm missing a hard drive. Anyways, yeah. So the idea is to build the games for Club Nano, because Club Nano is just a better version of Club Penguin, and Club Penguin was just a social game, and that allows us to just create as many mini games as we want, and that's what we're doing. And essentially, that's what we're aiming to do. So yeah, actually, if you can talk for a bit, I could actually probably show you one of the games, give you guys better of an understanding.
I also see that Saber is typing. I'm not sure if somebody else has a screenshot that they might be sharing. Play turn kits. Oh yeah. Well, if you're saying I should talk, I don't know.
So Play to Own Kits is based around the role playing aspect, right? Like for example, let's say you own a business store, right? Oh, sorry, business store. Everyone is a business store. Let's say you own a tavern. You'll have these variables that determines on how you run your business. For example, whether or not you set tax, like the prices of the items, or whether or not there's a cost to entry, or like it just gives you these, like, the way it is, it's kind of like a bunch of these different settings, and you create the interaction for it. So like for example, let's say you earn the tavern and you want to kind of be, I don't know, like only accept two factions in, right? You have that choice, and then you also could have increased tax rates to certain people when they interact with your business, or rather, you need to get some resources. You can create a mission, and create a supply chain. Like, it just gives you all the variables, and it's based on your creativity on how you use them.
Yep. I mean that all these sort of like storytelling aspects and being able to I don't know, determine the outcome of the game. I think that's really really cool, very exciting concepts coming out of that. Plus the faction stuff is very cool as well. Yeah. If there are, I do want to be a little bit mindful of your local time.
If people still want to stay around and chat, ask questions, I'm happy. I'm trying to download Godot at the moment, so I can show you guys what I mean. Like, for example, one of the mini games is just a reskinned version of an online game that looks better, and it'll have a radio and stuff. So it's just, I know there's a winning position somewhere because you've given me the opportunity to, but I'm still trying to figure out what's the best option.
I don't know. It's better for black, I would say, but it's not that clear.
Okay, definitely won't be able to show it. Oh well, this is what happens when I reformat a computer. And I lose all the applications.
And do Q&As at midnight without proper planning. Although I'm pretty proud of us. I mean, we tried the tech before. It's not the worst. Can you give us some insight on the possible listing of the Realm token on the Maya exchange? Are you guys already talking to the team?
So if there is or isn't, we wouldn't be able to discuss because it would be under an NDA if we were or weren't.
Gotcha. I mean, you are verified at this point, finally. Oops, I totally forgot that my knight is hanging. Take it.
I felt like you did it on purpose.
No, I did not. I
Okay.
was looking at other stuff. Well, this is shit.
Oh, God damn it. Why?
So what's the next last mint? You said we're gonna be more faction certificates, and then moving to
Action cards, yeah.
faction card. Sorry, and then moving to what's the? Do you already know, or do you want to discuss what the next mint is after that?
Well, the mints that we're planning to do is on the website. You know, like the land collection, the upgrading, dismantling, the character collections, and there's going to be realm avatars you can mint. But at the same time, we're still conscious of the fact that there is a lot of competition within Elrond for whatever reason, with like mints and prices of like everything and liquidity, and there's no one focused on adoption. So we're not like focusing on mints. We just have the last one less.
Here's a good question for you. Konaz07 wants to know, hello, is there a possibility you partner with Nojin?
We don't plan on like creating a 3D metaverse, so probably not.
I mean, but this is also interesting. Maybe one aspect we can discuss before I let you go for real this time is the sort of you brought on obviously the loonies. That was awesome, and then have some other partners. Like, what's sort of the rationale and the goals for partnerships like that?
So at the moment, like the thread I made, right? Like, so there's 3 tiers of partnerships. The one, like, so definitely Lunicorn or Natural Degens was a proud partnership because of their approach of NFTs is different. They're one of the few NFTs that don't compete with others. They're actually, like, they support other projects, right? Like the gallery, the auctions, and like, it just naturally complements the entire ecosystem. And we want to partner with projects that either do something unique like that, or 2, they can be directly added into the game once we develop an SDK or a software development kit that allows people to integrate their collections or NFTs into the game. So essentially, it just allows us that type of... It allows us that type of thing. I see that question.
Yeah.
Too many. To answer Smokey, too many. Yeah. Oh wait, where did it go?
He didn't delete it. That's an interesting move. Why did you do that? What am I missing?
I don't even know. Now what do I do?
Yeah, I think you have to trade. This is...
Wait, whoops. That's not what I wanted to do.
I would say White probably has a draw here.
That's not what I wanted to do. Oh god, that was not the move I wanted to do at all.
I think you're still fine. Look at all the pawns you have. Not sure about that move though.
It's alright. At this point, I'm just trying to run away. Alright, GG.
Hang on. I'm not sure if it's that if it's mate here. Yeah, it's probably bad-ish.
Why'd you have to move that? Come on, man. Why couldn't you give me a free look?
I'm trying to, play this professionally.
And that's not fair, man.
That is true. How did I checkmate you here? I don't think I can.
Is there going to be an icebreaker that we can flip with enough people? I will make sure that it's possible.
I like that.
But it's actually going to be spacecraft related, right? Like, for example, if there's too many people on a spacecraft, who knows, maybe you'll crash.
Oh, is it all going to be all space stuff, yeah?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Alright.
Oh, man. So, do your parents know what you're doing? How do you explain to your parents what the hell you're doing?
I mean, I don't know. I just do what I do. I don't know how to answer the question. How do you explain people your job? Like what?
Well, I don't know.
What's happening?
Have you I don't know, did you make wallets for them? Do they follow the project in some way? Are they on Twitter?
It'll be their first fan.
What's that?
You want to be their first follower.
I would like to, yeah. The actual.
I have no idea. Right? Like, either way, right? Like, I'm not 100% sure. Like, when it comes to what I tell people what I do, I just the same answer when I ever wrote for all my other projects. Right? I'm just running a startup.
Mm. How do they feel about the whole like crypto space and stuff like that?
I don't know. It's hard to really explain.
I've tried to sort of. I've made for Christmas. I gave my entire family, sort of extended family, too, wallets, the Meyer wallets, because that's, I think, actually one of the.
All right, because you wanted a referral fee, right?
Rug. No, because I think that's one of the more compelling cases for Elrond, is that sort of like that adoption aspect and making it easy to actually create a wallet, and the DEX is pretty decent in terms of UX and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
So that's
yeah,
actually.
I mean, like, it's not to be a maxi, right? Like, there is still other projects like that. Like, for example, Luna also has a wallet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so obviously, it's not like when it comes to investments or anything, right? Like, I'm not going to say this is the best, this is the worst, right? Like, I'm not going to be like Elrond is the best, because I mean, I don't know, who knows, right? Like, there's a lot of like, no one knows where the future is going to be, right? Like, you can make all these like justifications, right? But at the end of the day, right? Like, like, it's just how it is. Things happen. We can't really predict. Like, sure, we can probably make an educated guess, but we can't really predict it.
For sure. For sure. There's one. Can you explain in the simplest possible way the essence of Karitha? What do you think is its grip on people? Why will people not only try but retain its player base?
I don't think.
How would you explain Karitha to your parents, essentially?
Whoops. Wait, what? Wait, can you explain in the simplest way possible, or the simpler way the essence of Karitha? What do you think it's grip? So I'm assuming the question is, like,
it's your Karitha elevator pitch, maybe. I don't know.
Why will people not only try but retain its player base? Can you elaborate on that a bit? Because, like, I don't think I understand it completely. But to answer the question above that, there's more than 15 people at the moment that's on the team.
Yeah. All right. He's typing. I'll attack your. No, wait. It's not my move.
Okay.
Oh, we should. Should we give?
How do I always
away
give
some
you my
realm?
bishops? How do I always give you my bishops?
Yeah, they're gone, but mine are gone too. I forgot what happened. Seemed normal. Problem is that I have pawns and you don't.
So I don't know what to do here.
Well, one thing you don't want to do in positions like that where you're down a little bit of material is trade, right? As we talked about before, right? So basically, you need to find some activity and play on my king. Although it's not really easy to see how that is in the nearest future. But you could probably reroute your knight somewhere here.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to think. I'm just thinking where would I want to place.
And then and then let's did you wanna tip some realm in the chat for answering, I don't know, stupid questions?
I mean,
I feel like this. I gotta say, like, this has been much more serious than I've anticipated, but super interesting. I think you've made a lot of interesting and good points about sort of the state, the future of the NFT space in general, and Elrond in particular. I found it pretty interesting to hear your thoughts on it. So, already thank you for taking the time, even though it's midnight. Now this thing again, eh?
I don't know. Somehow I'm always in this corner, but then I always like do nothing. Okay, because I think a lot of blockchain focus only its futures. Well, what's different with us is that we're meant to, well, not meant to be, but we're not like once blockchain specific. We're trying to do a multi-chain approach, right? So the game itself wants to be a hub towards like other blockchains, like the chain, right? Like we want the UX friendly bridge, right? Instead of it being blockchain based, why can't it be a game based? So there's always going to be like, I guess like currencies and stuff flowing through the game and aspects like that.
Oh, that's something I didn't even consider, but I'm not sure if this question I'm about to ask makes any sense. If you're switching to Realm, obviously the most obvious way to Realm is through eGold, right? Like selling it, buying it on some exchange or stuff like that. But is there a way of doing that, like buying Realm with, say, ETH or something, and then just use that in the game? Is that
So that's something that we haven't explored into detail just yet. Not because it's just something that really is determining on whether or not like the bridge that's being built on Elrond, like the version 2, right? Like how good is that bridge, right? Like I think at the moment it's manual, so like
there's the battle of something of yields or whatever it's called going on at the moment, right? For that bridge again.
Not too sure, but yeah, I don't know if I answered the question from QZ, but basically what will retain its gameplay is rather it's just a multi-chain, right? Like so there's always something to do, and it's meant to be a game that's playable between other games. That's how we're approaching this game, not to be like a main game, rather it's a game that allows people to always be able to either play or not play, right? Like it's not supposed to be addictive where people are grinding consistently, because that's not what, like, I don't see gaming supposed to be like that, rather something that's more fun. obviously it's still an MMO, so there were going to be like some type of grinding and stuff, but it's not going to be like the old school Japanese RPG games, right? Like where it's just a grind fest, but like for example, old school Maple Story or other games like that, where it's just like grinding all the time.
Yeah, that's interesting. Discord user Grisson Jr. is curious about difficulties that you encounter, or that you expect to encounter, rather. Is there anything that comes to mind? It's kind of, you just deal with it when it happens. But
well, that is how, like, so like obviously with project management, right? Like it really depends on how you're structured. Like for example, like we're very well, my project management is very lean and very adaptive. So like for example, we've made a lot of pivots in the direction we take this project. Nice. Can we go back a couple moves, bro?
oh, sure. Could have done that.
But yeah, so like it really depends, right? Like in terms of difficulties, it could be the like Web3 aspect on Elrond, right? We could have like it might not be like the easiest to integrate compared to like other resources because of how much that's already been developed.
Mm-hmm.
See, I've always wondered against these moves, right? Like, do I just block it and just ignore it?
Yeah, you basically just ignore it. Yeah.
But anyways, like it really depends. Like, obviously, the faster Elrond develops, the faster we can also develop.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, we're not hindered by that because we're also developing our own things, like on other chains and like trying to build like.
Hello? Did we lose you?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's super interesting. The building on different chains and building, not becoming too dependent on one thing or maybe ecosystem. I think is an interesting approach as well. You did take it. You gonna take the other one too?
Why wouldn't I?
Fearless.
I mean, was there a reason why not to?
Ah, I think it's fine.
Let's see.
Karma, I think your question has sort of been answered. We were talking earlier about sort of the motivations for building a project, and it's not just the cash for Amir.
See, I've always thought you're going to move your knight there and just use the double pin.
Here?
Well, like, you move your knight down to G5 and then just do a double sack for the rook.
I can still do that though, right now.
I mean, like, I don't know, like, is that even a good move? I know that some people do it, but
it depends. I think is the best answer I have for you there. I mean, it's a fair trade, right? If we consider rooks being worth 5 points, pawns 1 point, and both the knight and the bishop being worth 3 each, then we get 6 versus 6 points. But maybe your king is a little bit less safe. But on the other hand, also having 2 pieces instead of 1 piece can be advantageous. So it kind of depends. If there's enough benefits, then yeah, good move. If there's not, then bad move.
Okay. Well, right
but
now...
also I'm down 2 pawns, so I'm not really eager on trading, right?
Yeah, fair enough. think we're starting to slowly. Oh, we went from 35 to 24. I'm not sure how.
Yeah, it's been a long time. This is the last game, and then
Yeah, if anyone else has any questions or anything, that's more an actual question.
Yep.
Let's see.
Here we go. Do I want my pawn back? Probably. Where do you see the project a year from now, Amir?
A year from now. Well, our roadmap's public. So, I mean, I don't know what else to say, right? Sorry. I mean, ideally, our roadmap is like we hit all the. Sorry, I don't know if the microphone screwed up, but like, does that answer the question? Like, I don't know. Ideally, every every milestone is hit. That's where I see the project.
Yeah. It's in. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, I just sincerely hope, every milestone is hit, right? That's really all I can really say, right? When it comes to that, like, I can't predict it, but as long as we have a roadmap and we stick to it, that's what I believe.
Yeah. See, you made that move again. So,
yeah, I do that a lot, don't I?
Yeah, be careful of these like pawns, right? Because now it's always going to be a target. Although this seems fine.
To be honest, it just looks weird.
So, what do we do? My bishops look nice.
Yeah, they love my queen, my king.
Where are you going? Where are you going?
Right.
Bring your queen in again? Some hectic activity.
Obviously, I just have to. Stop it, you're being mean.
Yeah, this is not the friendliest move I could have played. The Notion thing, by the way, is cool. Since we were just talking about the roadmap, it's really a neat tool that I haven't really seen.
Yeah, and I think more projects on Elrond is going to start adopting it. Hopefully, I noticed some projects are starting to use it for their internal resources, and projects are starting to use it, which is great because I think Notion's a really good tool. Cool.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, questions are like, what were they doing beforehand? But like, obviously, everyone makes changes, so hopefully, every change that projects make are like for the better of Elrond, right?
Yep. Yeah, I don't really want that pawn, but also, do I have a better move? Should I kick your knight again? Seems simple enough.
You just want a free pawn again. Of course you do. Why not, right?
I mean, since it's a central pawn, and now sort of this move I pointed out earlier, with your pawn being isolated and not it's not easy for you to trade it. I want to target it. Although I think this is a shit move and I play it. Just to, by the way, be clear, I do not have the National Master title. I I'm about, or I used to be when I played more, about the strength of a national master. But I think Ducker, somebody asked that earlier. Don't want to lie.
No, I'm gonna change it to CM. I mean GM. Sorry, not CM.
Yeah, GM. I'll take that.
Yeah, I'll give you GM. Good morning, man. But yeah, did you have any other questions? Because I think I probably will sleep after this. It's around 12:20 a.m.
I want you to go to sleep. I don't want to open new fascinating topics of conversation. Although I think we you know, had some interesting aspects highlighted. So I'm happy about that.
While trying to maintain a level of gameplay of chess.
Somebody was pointing out that it was like sort of the hot seat show where you can
so what I really like though is like I'm not too bad to like lose instantly against you, even when we were playing off stream. Like privately it's not like I'm terrible.
No, you're a very good player.
So like, at least like even though I'm always losing against you, I still always have fun, which is probably why I keep playing against you. So
I'm glad that's the case.
Because like I don't know, losing against you is actually really fun because I realize I don't know, it's really it emphasizes my mistakes because I know my mistakes. But like no one punishes you, right? Unless like like they'll always assume that the mistake you made wasn't a mistake, right? Like they'll think, oh, maybe it's a trap. But like as someone that knows all the lines or majority of the lines, it's like, okay, well, clearly it is like a blunder.
Mm-hmm.
What's but
you've definitely you said you started playing, or you were playing as a kid.
Yeah, I've played chess for a very long time.
No.
And I've always loved the game, right? So can't really complain. Obviously,
did you get back into it during COVID too, like everyone else?
Yeah, I actually did, right? Like, definitely played a lot of chess during COVID, like chess.com though. But like, yeah, still played a lot.
I want to do fancy sacrifices and stuff, but it's just not working, I don't think. Here. Yeah, I do want to organize some sort of tournament in the near future. That could be fun, I think. I mean, what do you think? Like, there's obviously some sort of community games already being played. There's like, we've done like a poker thing. Obviously, chess hasn't been a part of it. But that sort of community activation, do you believe in that, or is that something that,
So what do you mean?
Well, coming together for a chess tournament or something like that. It's
my factions, right? That sounds centralized. Karitha's factions are decentralized in a sense, right? So obviously anything community based is like ideal, right? Like that's why the factions partner with whatever, right? Can you stop pointing arrows?
Just
I already know I lost. I mean, I already know I've lost, but like I don't know, it's still fun trying to figure out something.
I'll make them red.
Stop being so mean. Oh, whatever.
That's yeah. Gotta get some counterplay now. Yeah, you did some faction games, right? That was how did that go? It was
I wasn't part of the hosting. Like, so a lot of the Discord engagement and activities are through the moderators of Please and Economy or Sushi. At the moment, Sushi is also moving. Like, for some reason, our entire team is moving, but we're still accomplishing much because it's a big team. I would show you guys the mini game that we've got, but basically it's like a better version of Scribble.io. And it's supposed to be a social game, right? Like it's a drawing game that's going to be accessible in game.
Do you have to go to certain buildings to play it?
At the moment, the idea is to actually be able to play just through the website, like through a website before the game. But yeah, some, like for example, if you go to like a I was gonna say a cafe, but like some social building, you can play that, and then you can play against other people in there. And then same with Club Nano. Oh, actually, I might be able to show it before I head to sleep. Actually, I'd love to show the actual other game, the Space Invader game, but it's still in a prototype phase, and it'd just be embarrassing if it's not actually that good. Like, because it's still like, there's still a lot of things that we're going to polish from it. But I'll probably show some teasers before I sleep.
That would be cool.
I love how I'm not pretending, but I love how I'm acting like I can actually recover from this position. We both know it's over. Whatever. Whatever. Okay, before I go to sleep, I'll try to load some stuff just for some.
Sweet. I mean, for now, thank you for taking the time and answering so many questions from so many people. I hope it was interesting for everyone.
Yeah, and what I can do is just show some of the prototypes we've got of some of the mini games. Like, so for example, I'll show you the better version of Scribble.io. So Scribble.io is just a drawing game, right? So essentially this. Obviously this is going to be a radio that actually plays, and you'll have players chat, whatever, So the idea is this is going to be accessible in game, have words, whatever, playable. But yeah, essentially this is just going to be a better version of Scribble.io, but like for Club Nano and Realm, but the game that everyone wants to see. So 1 second, let me actually open. I don't think he's pushed the latest updates to GitHub, but I'll just play what I've got anyways. So this isn't the final version, but it's still pretty good. The real question is everyone still here and actually working?
It's just it's just at this point.
Yeah. Let me just double check that the sound works. Actually, let me check if my own sound works. Sound settings.
I mean, just a visual would be cool enough.
Okay. Now, sure.
By the way, when you change my name in the server, can I change it again, or can you?
You can't.
Can you lock it?
1 second. Anyways, yeah. So this is still a prototype, right? Obviously, it's not final. We're still doing a lot of things. The real question is there a way to see how many people are watching?
Yeah, there should be. Yeah, you can tell by spectators.
So there is actually sound. So if you're watching the stream, you should be able to listen to some of the sound effects.
Oh, that's the one you keep posting where you can't make a good score. Oh, nice. I do hear the music.
Yeah, so like we're finding some of the mechanics and stuff, and like obviously what we're doing is, I don't know if people play Risk of Rain, but like the idea is to make it similar to Risk of Rain. So at the moment we just have like base UI, base stuff, and then from there we'll introduce more mechanics and stuff like that.
Looks cool. Well,
but
cool.
yeah.
If you want to wrap it up here, let's have you get some deserved sleep, much needed sleep. I hope that everybody saw these cool prototypes, and thanks again for taking the time. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and yeah, parting words belong to you, of course, Amir.
Well, it's been a pleasure having everyone around. I guess I provided some clarity to the project. I of course plan to do a lot more of these Q&As. It's just obviously March has been very busy, and I prioritized getting the thing sorted. But obviously, I think what's really cool is this concept we kind of joked about and ended up becoming a thing. Because we're like, dude, why don't we just play chess and like have a Q&A? And it ended up being something. But yeah, so there is a lot of things happening behind the scenes. Obviously, the reason why there aren't many announcements per se compared to previous is just because the next announcement is just going to be a lot bigger, right? Because we're building a lot more. So like, it's really a matter of like, do we drop it today, drop it tomorrow, details, things like that. But really, it really depends, right? Like, right now we're more concentrated on well, I can't really discuss certain things, but like, yeah, there is certain things we're focused on at the moment, and mainly it revolves around partnerships with other blockchains and like very big projects and things like that. We're trying to discuss and seeing how things go with that, as well as like utilizing Discord as a way to have governance. So that there will be utility to the Genesis sanctions. There'll be Discord activities with faction missions and like RPG elements within factions. So there'll be a lot more interactions within Discord, and like they'll all be part of the new website because we're gonna have like a leaderboard.
Awesome. Cool, man.
But yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for having me on.
Have a good night, and thank you everyone for being here. Hopefully we can do something like this again at some point.
Take care, everyone.
All right.
Thanks.
Cheers.